हरि ओम अन्ना।
ओम श्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं ग्लौं गणपतये वरवरद सर्वजनं मे वशमानय स्वाहा। ओम श्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं ग्लौं गणपतये वरवरद सर्वजनं मे वशमानय स्वाहा। ओम श्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं ग्लौं गणपतये वरवरद सर्वजनं मे वशमानय स्वाहा। ओम श्रीं ह्रीं क्लीं ग्लौं गणपतये वरवरद सर्वजनं मे वशमानय स्वाहा। ओम
हरि ओम गुरुजी।
हरि ओम मम हरि ओम नमस्कारम। Om we saw up till we were looking at the third verse. Avatvam mam avavaktaram avashrotaram avadhātāram avādharāttā. We saw till there. Avanuchanam avashishyam. So this is in continuation of the previous previous 6. They're coming in pairs, right? Avatvam mam, protect me. Avavaktaram, protect the speaker, protect the listener. Shrotaram. Avādharāttā, protect the one who's giving, protect the one who's the sustainer or the receiver. Then avanuchanam avashishyam. So it is appearing in a single phrase. Ava anuchanam. Anuchanam means guru. Avashishyam. Shishyam is the student. Now this particular verse reminds you of another another Vedic chant, a Vedic Shanti Patha that we usually, Hari Om Mami, Namaskar. The Vedic chant that we usually chant at the start. Sahana avatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So how does that go? Saha, sahana, saha, naha, avatu. Sahana avatu. Saha, naha, us, protect us, avatu. Sahana avatu. Sahanaha, sahanau, bhunaktu. Sahaviryam karavavahai. So this is saha here. The indication is of the teacher and the student. So both the teacher and the student, and usually before any learning or teaching or that learning teaching session happens, usually this particular Vedic chant is chanted. Because this chant says, protect the both of us, the student and the disciple. Give us sahaviryam karavavahai. Give us the virya, give us the energy to continue this study. See, the very interesting thing about, I'll slightly differentiate between the teaching and the learning process is very intermingled, right? Intermingled na, it is very there is a huge co-dependence, interdependence, and actually there is a huge amount of interdependence between the person who's teaching and the person who's learning. And the beautiful example that is given is of the cow and the calf. So the milk in the cow, the amount of milk in the cow comes out, or the milk comes out of the cow only when the calf goes and tries to suck the milk. Otherwise, the milk doesn't just fall on its own. Right? There is one exception story we have heard where the milk goes and feeds Venkateshwara. Right? Automatically, the milk comes from the udder. That's an exception. But in all cases, the amount of milk or the milk that comes out of the cow is when the calf goes and tries to suck the milk, which means there is a recipient, there is somebody who's wanting to receive the knowledge or that understanding. And then Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha. So in that form, and then Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta. Who's the Vatsa? Sorry, I forgot the Upanishad. Sarvopanishad.
Dogdha Gopal Nandana Bharto Vatsa Sudhir
Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta.
Dugdham Gopal.
Dugdham
Gita Amritam Mahat.
Gita Amritam Mahat. Thank you, Mama. Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta. Dugdham Gita Amritam Mahat. So the Partha there is the calf Vatsa. Sarvopanishado Kavaha. Dogdha. So he is the milkman, and and Partha comes as the Vatsa, the calf. So only when the calf comes, which means for teaching to happen, the recipient has to be equally engaged in that whole process. Right? Like, I mean, it's a skill. I find it very difficult to just talk to a wall. A lot of people say, why don't you just record and put it on YouTube? I say, who do I talk to?
Shikshavaliila வந்து ரொம்ப நாளா சொல்லுவாங்க. தைத்திரிய உபநிஷத்துல Shikshavaliila அந்த Guru Shishya, what is the relationship, how the Shishya will pray for the Guru that he should teach more.
He should be able.
And teacher also should, they pray for the teacher that he should get more people to teach.
Correct. So in the process of this, it is an exchange. It is very important. It is an exchange that happens, and there is a certain energy that kind of builds up. And in fact, it's very interesting because what comes out of the person who's teaching is predominantly dictated by the kind of listener who's wanting to listen. So the listener is very distracted, looking here, there, doing 4 other things. Then maybe the best things may not come out of this person who's teaching. It may not come out. You don't know.
Sorry, interrupt பண்ணது. நேத்து நீங்க சொன்னப்போ எனக்கு அதான் தோணிட்டு. நீங்க குருஜி வந்து இந்த 9 நாளைக்கு வந்து ஸ்ரீ சுக்தா வந்து சொல்லித்தரேன்னு நீங்க சொல்லும்போது அந்த ப்ரிப்பேர்ட்னஸ் வந்து எங்களுக்கு இல்லையாம ஏதோ காரணங்கள்னால இல்லாம போறதே அப்படின்னு ஒரு கஷ்டமா இருந்தது.
Now social conditions are such. But so the important thing is that engagement, and what flows in that process is very unique. And that is why many times you notice some sessions, it will be very, sometimes it will just feel like, where is this coming from? What is happening, right? We'll feel sometimes like that. And sometimes it will not be like that also. Sometimes it will feel very dry and very not so interesting also. Because that whole energy gets set up in that energy exchange. So what comes out in the whole process is not just determined by and I'm talking particularly, we're not talking about orating, going on the stage and orating, even for those people. See, even a lot of people, even artists, if you see somebody is performing on the stage, if the audience responds in a certain way, then there is a certain enthusiasm that the performer gets to perform, right? And there is an energy that is built. So this transmission happens in a very, and so much more when there is knowledge being transmitted, right? When there is knowledge being transmitted or exchanged, it is so much more important that this exchange happens, and which is why satsanga is very important. See, whenever there is a anuchanam and a shishyam, a teacher and a student, there is already a satsanga. Means both are coming there for the same purpose, for jnana vriddhihi, vriddhi of jnanam. It is not, it may seem that there is transmission happening in one direction, but actually there is transmission happening in the other direction also. The teacher is also receiving a lot of understanding, a lot of vriddhi of his or her own knowledge and understanding is also happening in the process. So both of this, it's a cyclical process, and which is why both of them have to be protected. Ava anuchanam, ava shishyam. Ava anuchanam, ava shishyam. Both of them have to be protected so that both of them can engage in this conversation, dialogue. And that is why you see the Upanishads, all our scriptural texts are not prescriptive in nature, they are dialogues. Ram, Aditya Hridayam, what is that? Sri Agastya Samvade. Sri Rama and Agastya Samvade. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna Arjuna Samvade. And you have Lalita Sahasranama, again Agastya Hayagriva Samvade. Most of the Upanishads you see, there is samvada between Vachashravas, Nachiketas, Yama and Nachiketas. Samvada. Ashtavakra and Janaka, Samvada. Nidagha and Ribhu, Samvada. So this whole culture is built on Samvada, not so much of Vivada. I mean, there are in discussions, there are a few types of discussions. One type of discussion is the most ideal kind of discussion is Samvada, because both are engaged in a discussion where there is, the focus is not on who's winning and who's better and who's higher and all that. The focus is on the exploration of knowledge, exploration of understanding, deeper exploration of spiritual understanding. And that is why you will also see that not every, you cannot standardize this particular subject. As much as Swami Chinmayananda has tried, as much as Swami Dayananda Saraswati has tried, and many gurus have tried to systematize the process of learning the scriptures and understanding the literature, scriptural literatures. The Lakshyartha is very difficult to communicate, because the Lakshyartha, the way the transmission happens is very much dependent on the teacher and the student. And the language of communication is also different. And how you interpret each of these things also is very different. Somebody who's steeped in only bhakti tradition, everything he will try to position it as bhakti only. Somebody who's in purely in a jnana tradition will only try to position jnana. Somebody who is yoga tradition, kriya yoga, all of that, everything they will try to bring back to the yoga, the chakras, the asanas and all of that. Same thing, they will interpret it. Why do we think that there are 3,000 over commentaries just on the Bhagavad Gita? because when each person looks at it, they're like, no, I think it is saying this. They say, no, I think it is saying this. There are cultural differences, regional, religious differences have been created, right? Just with this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was one person, Arjuna was one person, both of them spoke and Vyasa wrote. But you have Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, then Shuddha Advaita, Dvaita Advaita. So many different forms of offshoots have come using the same book as a reference and saying that no, it is saying this. So many different interpretations. What is most important is, and which is why the Anuchanam and the Shishya, it's an important engagement, because they kind of talk a similar language. They kind of communicate in a similar language. What is Dvaita Advaita? It's a philosophy. It's a certain line of philosophy. There's a Shuddha Advaita. Dvaita Advaita is, I think it is by Nimbarkacharya, where he takes certain aspects of Dvaita, which is, yes, there are two, but then there is a possibility of it becoming one. So the recognition of the two, but then there is a possibility of becoming one. Advaita says, no, there is only one. Dvaita says, no, there are two. So Dvaita Advaita is, there is, yes, I recognize it, because these are all offshoots that came at different centuries, different points in time, which were slightly different variations or, refinements. They brought in certain refinements based on their experience, based on the people around them, based on the times that they were in, right? Like, for example, when Madhvacharya, Nimbarkacharya and all came, they didn't have to fight the Buddhists in terms of significant philosophical differences. But Adi Shankara had to. Ramanujacharya was there. When Adi Shankara was there is no Muslim invasion. There is no worry of external influences of that kind. It is all within India itself, sorry. But when Ramanujacharya came, Muslims were there. So now he had to do it slightly differently. Then when Madhvacharya came, the whole bhakti tradition was on. So a lot of these things, their situational things create a need to represent it and present the idea slightly differently. And then it forms a line of philosophy. And then people fight over it, and people say, people look for every opportunity to create differences, right? In fact, even the Vadagalai Tengalai difference is not with Ramanuja. Ramanuja, one of Ramanuja's Shishya was Vedanta Desika. And some people started following because Vedanta Desika enumerated this whole thing he gave it a certain form, shape, and refinement. Some people followed him, and some people stuck with Ramanuja, although Vedanta Desika was Ramanuja's Shishya. And then Vadagalai Tengalai split happened. So, I mean, you see it now around you also, right? So, the important thing is, again, to me, also the Anuchanam, this gurus also, in today's date, YouTube is a guru. See, whether we like it or not, you can get inspired by watching something on YouTube. Of course, the problem is the choice is yours, what you want to watch and what you want to get inspired by, right? The choice. Now we have a powerful tool in our hands. How to use the tool, that clearly is a choice that as humans we got to make. But if that basic understanding is there, then you have an ability to choose. Like, for example, in those days, what will happen? Manasa Serilena, if your mind is not well, you will go and sit into the into the Garbhagriha or the puja room in the house. And usually Ramayana or Bhagavad Gita or some of that pustakam, the book will be kept open at the altar. You'll go sit there, you read a couple of pages, you'll try to, bring back you center yourself. You use those tools to center yourself. But now you have YouTube available. If your mind is going down, or if you're distracted, or you're this thing, that thing, you can just go play. Turn it on and play it. So it's available there. It gives you access to learning. It gives you access to knowledge at the time you need it. Right? At the time you need it. Right now, if you have a certain thing that is bothering, or a certain emotion, or a certain condition, then we'll quickly go up to the YouTube. You can type it in, play some Swamiji, somebody would have spoken of something. Play that, we'll listen. Suddenly it will give you some clarity, some understanding. So this Anuchanam or the Guru or the teacher is very important in the way the student is. So you draw upon yourself the right knowledge, the right understanding, the right message, the right thing that is going to enrich you. Because a lot of times it's also possible that the teacher would have said something very profound, but sukkunu poirukkum namakku. வடிவேலு வந்து ஒரு படத்துல ஆக்டர் அர்ஜுன் வந்து பலார்னு அரைஞ்சிருவான். காதுல வந்து just listen, he'll hear the sound going அப்படின்னு. அப்புறம் அர்ஜுன் will tell him something. புரிஞ்சுதா அப்படின்னு. கொயின்னு மட்டும் தான் கேட்கறது, நீ என்ன சொல்றேன்னு ஒன்னும் புரியல அப்படின்னு. சத்தம் மட்டும் தான் கேட்கறது அப்படி. So a lot of times it can also be just noise. The teacher is teaching something and the mind is not able to grasp or hold on to it. It will just be noise or sound. It will just go through. All of this is part of this protection. When we are seeking protection from Ganapati, we are telling, please protect me so that I may be able to receive knowledge. This reception, this receiving here, avādharāttā was to receive in exchange with any individual. Here, avanuchanam, avashishyam is particularly receiving knowledge, understanding. Then Ganaka Rishi goes into the directions. He's seeking protection from all the directions. Why are directions important as a protection, to seek protection, is because see, we have to understand, we are governed by a lot of natural forces around us all the time. Adi bhautika, Adi daivika, Adi daivika. The Adi Daivika are these natural forces that can cause obstacles. And these obstacles can come from any direction. See, again, bringing back our context here, we are reaching out to Ganesha, who is the remover of obstacles. And by remover, he is giving us protection so that obstacles don't come. So you ask him to remove obstacles, and then subsequently obstacles shouldn't come. So you're asking him to protect. So protect from where? Ava paścāttā, ava purastā, ava avottarāttā, ava dakṣiṇāttā, ava cha cordhvāttā, ava avādharāttā. So paścāttā from west, from behind, purastā, assuming you're facing the east, right? Usually the references in the scriptures are usually that you're facing the east, you're facing Surya. So east, paścāttā, purastā, then avottarāttā, dakṣiṇāttā, mele, up, cordhvāttā, avādharāttā. So front, back, left, right, top, down. Okay. What if something comes from in between? Sarvato mam pāhi pāhi samaṃtāt. So, I don't know, those who are familiar with computer programming, there is a catch-all. There is a phrase called catch-all phrase, or there is a
catch exception.
Try
catch exception.
Try catch la finally no போடுவோம் தெரியுமா?
Finally.
That
எல்லாம் தாண்டி ஏதாவது இருக்கு.
Try, in the try you will mention various conditions, and catch is if those conditions there is an exception, you catch it here. But what if there are other conditions, then there is a finally. If something falls through the cracks, you catch it in the finally.
இதுல else வர மாதிரி else if conditions else வர மாதிரி
else வர மாதிரி
இல்ல கடைசில
ஆமா
last else
இது. So he is saying protect me from all these directions, and then also protect me from if I have missed out mentioning any direction, if I have missed out indicating any direction, oh Ganesha, protect me from that also. So now visualize yourself, and this I have told when we were doing, I think Lalita Sahasranam Soundarya, one of those in a context, you're talking about how you create your own protective shield around you. So in the morning, when you get up, you do your daily kriya karma, take shower, all that. When you do the puja, whatever sadhana you're doing, remember to create a bandha around you. See, usually in the Kaula Marga, where you have to do rituals properly, there are two kinds of actions that you do. In the start, you say dik bandhaha, which means you're trying to tie yourself to that mantra, to that place, that space, around from all directions. Dik bandhaha, you're tying yourself. And then when you finish that ritual, you usually remove your dik vimokaha. You do it in the reverse direction, you say dik vimokaha. You remove that. The reason this is done is typically in any kind of ritual that you're performing, you're ensuring that you're creating an energy space. You're creating an energy space. You're committing yourself to that place, that space, for the time period of the ritual. You're invoking all the devatas. You're invoking them for the ritual that is required. And then you're tying all of them, you're tying everything around there, and you're placing it there for that ritual to occur. It could be a Kamya Upasana or Nishkama Upasana. So you do this, when you do this ritual, you're tying everything down. And when you're done with that ritual, you release everything, and then you get back to your normalcy. Because a lot of times you will not be able to just carry things that you're doing. Like for example, for laptop, when you need work, when you have to do something, you carry it. But for toilet, laptop, laptop, what will happen? Where you need a certain thing, certain energies to be with you to perform certain activities, you do that. Other places you don't. So you release it. So during that process of that ritual performance, you do dik bandhaha, and then later you remove it as dik vimokaha. Okay. This is one form of in the Kaula Marga, which means in the Marga of rituals, performing rituals.
சந்தியாவந்தனத்துல திக்தேவதா வந்தனம்.
எதுல சாரிமா?
சந்தியாவந்தனத்திலே திக்தேவதா வந்தனம்னு இருக்கும்ல. கரெக்ட். 4 டைரக்ஷன்.
8 டைரக்ஷனோ.
8 டைரக்ஷன்.
வந்தனம். So அஷ்டதிக்பாலகா அப்படினு சொல்லுவாங்க. They call as அஷ்டதிக்பாலகாஸ். All the 8. 8 is usually like this, right? Front, back, sides, up, down. Oh, no, sorry. Then you have the intermediate ones. Northwest, southwest, northeast, southeast. And then there are dashadik, which is the up and the down. You consider the up and the down also. So you put all of that, it will be roughly about 10, I think. Now, this particular, when we read through this, our paścāttā, purastā, we should remember that we try to create a protective shield around us. This is not the same as doing the dik bandha and dik vimokaha. That is for a ritual. But here, excuse me, you're trying to create a protective shield around you.
Kavacham.
Correct. Perfect word. Kavacham. You're creating a kavacham. Like my guru is told that when you're doing Sri Chakra Upasana also, you create, you visualize that the Sri Chakra is around you in a protective form all the time. That circular thing is always there. So what happens is, two things happen. Sorry. Two things happen in this process. One, you're creating a womb-like structure around you so that you feel secured and protected in that energy. The second thing is, you don't let things on the outside disturb you. You don't let things from the outside just randomly from all directions come and disturb you. And these are important because, see, whether you do any kind of yoga, kriya, pranayama, any kind of these things, like for example, I was talking to somebody the other day, and that person is into doing kriyas. Kriya as in the various kriyas that are being taught today, right? Shambhavi kriya, one second. Shambhavi kriya, Sudarshana kriya, and things like that, right? So somehow the feeling that is there within them is that if I do this kriya, everything is taken care, which is not true. You do kriya, you do pranayama as a tool to bring yourself to a certain state of composure within you. But there are still energies around you, right? That can bother, that can disturb you. So you need to be aware and sensitive to those energies also, and to have sufficient visualization tools to visualize, to protect yourself. You have to invoke. See, you don't have to necessarily invoke Ganesha, for example. If you're not particularly happy with Ganesha, it's okay. You don't have to think of Ganesha as that form necessarily. But you invoke your Ishta. You invoke your Ishta in a way that it offers you this particular protection. Right? And this is important because we are so vulnerable. Raman, look at the kind of things that's happening in the Gaza Strip now. Right? They're so vulnerable. What happened in where is that? The dam broke recently. Which country was it? Turkey or not Turkey? Sorry. About 20,000 people just overnight, they're washed away.
Brazil, no?
Brazil? No. This is the dam broke. How can I forget? So these are like Turkey had this earthquake recently, right? So what happens is these are conditions that we are so vulnerable to. Anything can happen at any moment, and we are instantaneously impacted by it, right? And so we need this constant protection, and it's important to recognize. See, it's important to also know that yes, I have Guru's grace, I have Devi's grace, I have Narayana's grace. Nobody can. I have Krishna's grace. Nobody can touch me. Apringardu is a good confidence that you need to carry. But at the same time, it's also important to recognize that yes, I am vulnerable at all times. I am vulnerable at all times. The same confidence can get punctured. See, do you feel that all the time? Do we feel this all the time? We don't. We have to re-emphasize and reassert and re-communicate it to ourselves. Why is that happening? Because it gets punctured. Right? Like Nochur will say, Libya. Thank you, ma. Thank you. That's right, Libya. Libya had this dam broke and about 20,000 people overnight were washed away. So the vulnerability is because we can get punctured at any time. Like I was saying, Nochur says, when you're walking out of a Vedanta session, after you listen to a proper Vedanta Upanyasam or a Pravachanam, you will walk out as though you feel I am Brahman. And the feeling அப்படியே மொதந்துட்டு வரும். வெளில வந்த உடனே நம்ம செருப்பு காணோம்னா that is why I don't come to this place at all. The people don't have the decency. We will start shouting. Now, where is that Brahman gone? In a moment it is punctured, right? The Brahman serupu. So that
Maya takes over.
Maya
takes over.
Maya.
Oh, somebody got Srini.
Oh, it's actually happened to Srini. I'm sure everyone would have had at least one instance where this would have happened.
Particularly நம்ம நங்கநல்லூர் ஆஞ்சநேயர் கோயில்.
அப்படியா? This has happened to me actually. In fact,
it's happened actually. Bhagavatam கேட்டுட்டு Bhagavatam போயிருந்தோம். Who's that? Dushyant Sridhar. So Dallas, he came. 7 நாளைக்கும் he said Bhagavatam. 7th day, triple out. Correct.
Actually, அது ஒண்ணு சொல்லுவா. தலைக்கு வந்தது காலோட போச்சு, செருப்போட போச்சு, ஏதோ தொலைய.
He'll usually say that places like these.
To control ourselves and தெரியல. But
அது சொன்னவங்க கிட்ட செருப்பு வாங்கி கொடுக்க சொல்லு அப்படிமா. This is interesting. Of course, a lot of people have that experience, and I personally had once where I'd been in Singapore, Krishna. I think some temple went, and then I went from office. I was in my shoes. My shoes got lost. Then I came back home without any footwear all the way in the train and all that. I came out. So the thing is, instantaneously your this thing gets punctured, right? What you carry, the confidence and this, that, and the other that you carry about yourself. Why? Because it takes a lot of energy to maintain it. To maintain this state of awareness and the state of conscious living takes a lot of energy. It's like saying mindfulness, or when you have to think, you have to constantly be aware. It is extreme mental activity. You have to be aware of everything that you're doing, constantly monitoring yourself, constantly being in that moment. It's a very intense mental activity. So we can slip anytime. So this protection is sought, and we're saying that I create this around me. I create this protection around me so that external events don't impact me in a very in a disturbing way, in a way that I am not able to handle. So protect me from all direction. Ava paścāttā. He starts from the back, because most of the things that comes as a shock comes from the back, right? It's like, I didn't expect this to happen. If something's coming in the front, at least you know, okay, something is coming, I need to react, respond. So something's coming from the back, you need first protection you need is in the back. If something comes from the back, you will not know, you will not be even prepared. So paścāttā, purastā, avottarāttā on the left side or the north. Then dakṣiṇāttā on the right side, south, from the south, southern direction. Then cordhvāttā, avādharāttā. From above, here above means, I mean, it's not suddenly a construction tile is falling over my head. Oh, actually very interesting. As one morning I was walking in Coimbatore. Actually, my mother was there with me. We were walking. There's a big coconut tree. One dry coconut fell right beside me. Light beside it. Top, the sound was like a sound of explosion. And we were scared. So, our cordhvāttā. Seek protection from above. Because this is just a, but I see, in my opinion, when you're seeking protection from above, is within you, you're seeking protection from your own head, your own mind. Seek protection from your own self. Half the problems, not half, 90% of the problems are created here, right? So protect me from my own mind, from urdhva, whatever is coming from the top. From urdhvāttā, let it not disturb me. What is coming from my urdhva? From avādharāttā, whatever is coming from below me. Which means my experience of the world, the earth, the experience of the earth that is there below, let it be a pleasant experience. May I be protected from harmful experiences from below. So this is one way, as we spoke, is having protection, physical protection from all directions. The other is also internal protection from all directions. Internal protections in form of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, the Shadripus, from all directions. They are also fighting, firing, shooting arrows from all directions, right? So how do you protect yourself from all of that? Create this particular. So now, this particular, the cocoon that you create first for the external or the physical world is outside the skin. Outside this, you create. But inside, now, create another cocoon. Recognizing the self that you are is not disturbed by any of these mental afflictions. The mental afflictions and the physical afflictions. May not the physical afflictions disturb my being, my state of being. We go through physical difficulties, right? May it not disturb my state of being. The only tool that we have to access the higher dimension is our mind. And if my body is going to disturb my mind, then I am losing the two essential tools that I have to go beyond. So may my body not disturb my mind. So the body is all the four directions. And from above, may the mind not be disturbed. Urdhvāttā, may the mind not be disturbed. And may the way I engage with this world not be disturbed. Avādharāttā. So this is one way of looking at it. Okay? From all directions. So within. So you're trying to create a cocoon within yourself. And what happens? And that cocoon is not empty, by the way, right? It's suddenly you created a cocoon and then where am I? You're not searching for yourself. What happened? It's not, that cocoon is created and you find yourself peacefully sitting inside, not impacted by any of that. And if you want, you can bring whoever you want into that cocoon. You can bring your Krishna, your Narayana, you can bring your Ambal, your Tripura Sundari, bring your Muruga, Ganesha, whoever you want, you bring them with you there. Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Kali, whoever you want. Bring them with you there and be there in that safe zone. This, imagine if you visualize, you do this as a process of visualization, this will manifest within. It will manifest as a real, powerful, protective environment within. So then, half the problems, because the storytelling, where is it happening? The storytelling is happening in the urdhva. Things are not right for me. Nobody is there for whatever. All the stories that you're creating is happening here constantly. Find that space, go inside there, sit there quietly. There are times when you're not able to turn off the channel, the TV channel of the mind. Let it go running. You go sit in that safe spot. Nicely go sit with complete understanding that you are in the protective womb of divinity, of the Divine Mother, of the Divine Father, of the divinity itself. You are in that protective womb. Right? So we create that, and then he says, sarvato mam pāhi pāhi samaṃtāt, equally from all directions. Do not in any way be discriminating of which direction to protect me better from. From all directions, equally protect me. Ava paścāttā, ava purastā, avottarāttā, ava dakṣiṇāttā, ava cordhvāttā, avādharāttā, sarvato mam pāhi pāhi samaṃtāt. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnāt Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karane Bhishnayama Devaha Bhadram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Stuštuvagum Sastanubhi Yashema Deva Hitanyadayuhu. Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravāha Swasti na Pūṣā Vishvavedaha Swasti nastarkṣyo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati'r Dadhātu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Kayena vācā manasendriyerva buddhyātmana vā prakrite svabhāvāt karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai nārāyanāyeti samarpayami sadāshivāyeti samarpayami jagadambikāyeti samarpayami Sadgurunathayeti samarpayami. Hari Om Tat Sat Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om.